Usually when it comes to sports and the figures that we've come to know as these larger-than-life athletes, I usually have an opinion. Do I like this guy, do I not, or do I think this team's good or not, whatever. I usually have a pretty strong opinion. But I've really decided to stay out of the Aaron Hernandez case, the former tight end of the Patriots, who's charged with the murder of a semi-pro football player. The reason why I've decided not to talk about it is because it's not really sports related. And you can say, well, how is that possible? He's a former Pro Bowler, whatever, this and that. No, you're missing my point here. When I think of some sports related, I think of talking about, a tennis match, or a football game, or a hockey game, or an NBA Finals series. That's sports related. This is legal related. This is legal matter. It's not sports matter. It just so happens that the guy who got caught up in the whole situation is a former NFL player, But I have a couple things I'd like to go off my chest. Number one, Hernandez, unless he lives under a rock. I know Belichick's schemes are hard to grasp, but not to the point where you have to work all day, every day. Does he know what CSI and NCIS are? Or have you even heard of those? And he's probably heard the shit that he did in this case, destroy cell phone, have cleaners come in. Do you think that maybe that might have aroused suspicion just a little bit? You left the body a mile from your house out in the open. How dumb are you? That's all I'm going to say is how dumb are you? If you're going to kill somebody, if he was going to kill somebody, which is, I still can't believe he did it. I personally think he did do it. Whether he pulled the trigger or not, I don't know, but I personally think he did it. He's got to cover his tracks. It is incredibly heinous what he did. He deserves to be punished if he is convicted. That's just my take. He deserves to be. He's a dumbass. You're an NFL tight end. You've just signed a contract, one of the richest contracts by a tight end in the history of the sport of the NFL. One of the richest contracts for your position in all of sports history. And you go ahead, you deface the New England Patriots by saying, man, we got this dumbass on our team. What are we going to do? You deface your school because you probably did stupid stuff. You probably were involved in several fights when you were in Florida. Police just haven't dug it up yet. And you just make yourself like this horrendously bad person. If you're going to make millions of dollars and be, on TV and have people know who you are, at least make yourself look good. The guy has to be one of the dumbest people in America. It's different. People are talking about, oh, well, you're a big fan of the Steelers. What about Ben Roethlisberger? That's a different story. Ben was never charged or nothing. There is no evidence that suggests that Ben Roethlisberger did what he was accused of doing. There's evidence that Hernandez is linked to the murder of a person, to the death of a person. Charges can go from anywhere as destroying evidence to murder. It's sad. It really is. All that money, nice house, you got a fiance and you got a little kid. And you go ahead and kill somebody. What the hell is the matter with you, dude? I figure Bill Belichick's teaching would have sunk in a little bit better than that. Because I've seen Belichick coach for a long time. When Belichick doesn't like a player for an off-the-field issue or a personality issue, he gets rid of them. If Tom Brady was a pain in the ass, he'd get rid of him. He would. Guarantee it. But Hernandez, who is, yes, he's a viable member of the team, but not like, a captain or anything, goes off, supposedly kills someone, or covers it up. And Belichick's supposed to keep him? There are people that are like, well, was cutting him the right decision? Yeah, it was the right decision. The guy's on trial for murder. I don't care if my quarterback is any position player is an all-world player. Like, there's once in a million, he's never going to be anything like him. If he gets to the point where he's charged, officially charged handcuffed, carried away, arraigned, and put in a cell on murder charges, I'm cutting him right then and there. Because that means you had to have had something, at least had something to do with it, to make yourself put in that situation. Am I the smartest guy in the world? No. Far from it. Far cry from smart. But think about it this way. Not that many people know me. Okay, I was in the paper a few times for tennis for high school. That's a different story. But not that many people have really ever heard of me. It's not like, oh, this guy, James Krasnarek. No, it's not like that. You're famous. Mr. Aaron Hernandez. You're famous. You have kids who wear your jersey. You've got parents who buy their kids your jersey, that spend their hard-earned money. They cheer every time you make a big play. And if you score a touchdown, the place goes nuts. That's what you had. And because you couldn't control your anger, because you felt that killing someone was the best option, or at least helping someone kill someone was the best option, you have to basically admit that you have turned your back on all of your supporters the last 2 years of your life. You had it all. You had a contract that was going to make you set for life. You're set to get married to a beautiful woman with an adorable little kid and have an incredible life together. Something that most men dream of. That all men dream of, and some don't even get a chance to realize that. And you're blowing it away. You didn't just blow it away or let it go. You took that opportunity and shoved it out the door yourself. If you get convicted of murder, damn deserve it. The thing about it that really strikes me as, interesting is that he's been linked to a double homicide via rental vehicle last summer in Connecticut. And it's been confirmed that Tim Tebow, of all people, had to go and break up a fight because you couldn't keep your head on your shoulders. Now, if Tim Tebow's bailing you out, if Tim Tebow is your teammate, you got to show him some respect, because the dude's going to work his ass off for you to help you be as good as you can be as a quarterback to tight end. You have to drag that guy all in. I mean, do you not think about shit before you do it, Hernandez? Do you not think? A guy I used to be in the same line with, Matt Light, former tackle for the Patriots who retired, said that he never believed in anything Hernandez stood for. And I can see it. Teams like the Bengals stayed away from him in the draft because of his off-the-field issues. They know that this guy was a loose cannon. And Belichick thought they could change him. Give him credit for trying. But I guess you just can't teach an old dog new tricks. Now, I know the evidence links him to the crime scene, but do I honestly think he killed him? I do. Because you can't be taking pictures of yourself with a gun like this, holding it straight up in the sky, be involved in a bar fight, be linked to a double shooting, and expect to be considered innocent or, guilty of a minor charge when someone officially dies and you're linked to it, conclusively. That's all I gotta say. And people, if they want to go ahead and, the judge of his arraignment and his bail sentencing or whatever, bail hearing, for not giving him bail, if they want to criticize her, you're blowing smoke. Because you seriously think an ankle bracelet's going to keep him sitting around? He'll get out. He'll go somewhere. He'll escape. You know, this is why I'm really starting to waver in my dedication as an NFL fan. I've always been an NFL fan. I mean, my Steelers are my team. The Saints are my team. You know, have my teams the last few years been great? Is it for an image? No, but the NFL is an image problem. Look at these. You know, it's not just a matter of whether a guy can catch for 1,000 yards or throw for 5,000 yards a season. You got to start looking at what goes on with these guys between the ears, because you get Hernandez's. You get guys, you know, that Cleveland Browns rookie, I can't remember his name, he's on charge for murder. You've got to think that Ray Caruth, who Carolina drafted, he was convicted of murder in the setting up of the death of his wife and his kid. You know, if you're going to be Mr. Roger Goodell, if you're going to be the commissioner of the most popular sport, one of the most populous nations in the world, a sport that defines who we are as a country, American football. If you're going to be the commissioner, and these assholes off the field are doing stuff, you got to step down. You got to step in and say, I'm putting my foot down. This is what's going to happen. Because Goodell's been overbearing with suspensions of players due to what they do on the field, and has done absolutely nothing with off the field. I think it's funny because you look at these players that got convicted of these minor offenses, these DUIs, these misdemeanors, and they don't serve any suspension time. And the one guy, Ben Roethlisberger, who gets acquitted of any charges at all, and there's no evidence that proves he did what he did, he's the only one to get suspension off the field. Now, what kind of hypocrisy is that? I already know Roger Goodell hates the Steelers, okay? He's probably paying off the refs now to screw us over all 16 games we play this year so we don't make the playoffs. But here's my point. If you're going to discipline players for what they do on the field, then if they do something stupid legally off the field, you got to put down your foot and say, hey, I'm not going to tolerate this in my sports league. You're either going to be a model citizen or you're not going to play. Look at all these divas we have now. Terrell Owens and Chad Johnson. You know, it's annoying. Are they all bad? No. Ryan Leaf was just a tremendously terrible human being. If the San Diego Chargers would have done any looking into his personal life before they picked him in '98 right behind Peyton Manning, if any of the 31 teams, I don't know how many teams there were at that point, '98 in the NFL draft, would have looked into Ryan Leaf's background and not just, seeing, his football, but his personal, morals. Nobody would have drafted him in first round. They fell in love with his arm as opposed to what he really is. If I was a GM or an owner or a coach for a team, and I'm thinking about bringing a player in, I want to see what this guy is like. I want to get a chance to meet him and see who he is. And get a chance to gauge what this guy's personality is like. Because if he can be a guy who can be a good locker room guy and make plays, lock him up. But I don't care if he's an all-star. If he divides the locker room and makes chemistry a real issue for my team, he'll be gone. Because it doesn't matter if you've got an all-star roster. Look at the Lakers this year. Dwight Howard, Kobe Bryant, Steve Nash, Pau Gasol. Star power. Star power. Star power out the ass. Didn't gel. Forgive me. They didn't gel. Because great players don't make great teams. Great teams make great teams. Look at the Penguins in the Bruins series. The Bruins were a team in every sense of the word. The Penguins had a great team if you look at the individual parts. And the individual parts did not equal what the Bruins had as a whole, as a sum. And that's why the Penguins lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. Think of it this way. And a lot has to do with chemistry. If you don't have good chemistry in a locker room, your team ain't going to do shit. So, if you're a GM or a coach, and you've got a player who is borderline unstable, not very, wise off the field, has had historically sketchy past, stay away from him. You know? If you look at now some of the players in the NFL that have become role models, Tom Brady, you know, a lot of people love Tom Brady. I personally don't, but hey, at least he doesn't get into trouble. You got Drew Brees, who's my favorite player. Drew Brees might be one of the most respected players in NFL history. 5,000 yards, how many seasons, and a Super Bowl ring. Took the Saints to a Super Bowl. Enough said. You know, I mean, Ben Roethlisberger, even, compared to some of these guys. You know, I laugh nowadays when people make a joke about Ben Roethlisberger being a rapist. I laugh. Because, I just laugh because I'm like, well, you know, for one, he wasn't convicted, wasn't even charged, wasn't even arraigned or put in handcuffs. No charges were filed. And, you know, people just need to get off his back. Now you look at Aaron Hernandez and O.J. Simpson and, you know, other players that have had repeated brushes with the law and have spent a lot of time in jail. Look at them. Do you really want them to be a part of your team? Do you really want those kind of players to be the phases of your franchise? You know, that's why I may not like them, but that's a reason why so many people love the Green Bay Packers. Because other than Brett Favre, has anybody negatively really done anything in Green Bay the last how many years? No. The Steelers, my Steelers become bad at that. I mean, James Harrison, you know, has always been a little sketchy. Ike Taylor puts out his incredibly explicit rap song. We have a receiver, Mike Wallace, who's mentally, by his own admission, in and out all season, goes down to Miami just for the money. You know, it's more or less a matter of this. 3 things. 1, I believe Hernandez was in charge of the commission of the crime, and I believe he pulled the trigger. Number 2, make sure when any team, any sport, make damn sure if you're bringing a guy in to play for you, make damn sure that he's going to be stable, he's going to contribute, and he's going to be a decent guy in the locker room. The 3rd one, not just in the locker room, for your fans. Make sure that if you got a big fan base, and this guy's going to be a big-time player for you, you make damn sure that you can say, I'm proud that guy's the face of my team. That's all I have to say about Aaron Hernandez.